Hey, it's Skippy from Mornings with Lone Star. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another edition of Jake from Sports Talk. Glad to have you all in. This amazing voice you're hearing as you listen and drive along in your car or sit at your office desk. It is the one is the only Jake from Sports Talk. How's everybody doing today? I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Unfortunately, if you're in the greater Houston area, apparently we have a tornado watch or warning. It's warning. Warnings are when they could form. Watches are when they have formed or have been sighted or whatever the case may be. But yeah, we're having terrible, terrible weather in the greater Houston area right now. So no fun. I'm going into a 4-day weekend right now. I was looking forward to kind of golf or, do something outdoors, and nope. Nasty, disgusting, terrible, terrible weather. But nonetheless, I'm inside in a radio station out of this terrible rain and here to talk sports into your radio for the next hour. So strap in and get ready to listen to Jake from Sports Talk. All right. And you are listening to 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. And if you're joining us on the irlonestar.com radio app, thank you for downloading the app. I know we're trying to promote that a lot on the station. And as far as if you want to listen just on the go or anywhere you are, I know there's people, down in Katy that listen to me and they use the website. And, we really appreciate that aspect of you guys not just tuning in, on the radio station, but, for everybody who's outside of the Houston area, who's literally listening worldwide, we really appreciate your, your traffic here on this radio station. It's awesome. And this station got started as strictly as a radio or as an internet radio station, not a traditional FM. The FM came later. So, I know we got a lot of loyal and devout fans listening that way, so I really, really appreciate it. But today's show, we got a lot to get to. We've got to I've missed a week, but I wasn't here last week. I was at a doctor's appointment, and so we have a draft to update. So we've got to find out how our show draft ended up, and I can already tell you I'm pretty sure it's pretty bad. I haven't even looked at it. It's still pinned on the board. I haven't looked at it since last week, so I'm pretty sure it's not good. But we've also got the MLB season kicking off. We're going to dive into that and get started in all that glory and nonsense that is. And I'm going to tell you my winners of each division. I know that's kind of boring radio talk, but you know what? Baseball's here. I'm super excited. I'm really excited for tomorrow. And, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then we got some NFL talk this week. I'm a little, top 10 draft. We're going to get into that. Each top 10 pick, what I think each team should do, and the new rule changes coming with the NFL as well. We've got 2 big rules that are going to make significant impact in the game and the flow of the game and everything like that. And then, one logical rule that I think should have been made a long time ago. I don't know why it was ever a rule in the first place, because they are actually eliminating a rule. So, sorry about that. I had to go grab something real quick. Where I wanted to start was the NCAA March Madness draft. So, we are now hitting into the Final Four. So we've gone through the first weekend of the 64 and 32, the second weekend of the 16 and the 8, and now we are into the Final Four. And boy, oh boy, just looking at it right now, we weren't too wrong in a lot of places. I know one of my major things I said was, hey, look, no one seed is going to lose in the actual first round. I had a lot of them losing in the first weekend, but not in the first round. And just first team UVA, Virginia, right off the bat, losing to UMBC. And that wasn't even day one. Like, we had some upsets that were pretty big upsets day one, and it was like, all right, yeah, this is a pretty crazy tournament. Like, there's no way these are going to get topped, whatnot. But no. Boring old Virginia basketball. It continued to be boring, and it was annoying because I'm pretty sure the majority of brackets, if they were not busted, no, let me rephrase that. All of the brackets, if they were not busted on Friday or on Thursday's games, then on Friday's games they were definitely busted, with UVA losing to the University of Maryland Baltimore College. So UMBC taking out UVA right there. Kansas State beat Creighton. We were wrong there. That's 2 wrong already. Kentucky Davidson. Kentucky did win. That's 1 right. So that's a check mark. Arizona Buffalo. Had Arizona winning that one? Nope. Buffalo upsetted them. That was a big no-no. Let's see. Then we got Miami, Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago upset Miami, and man, it was like, all right, first round upset, wild card sort of underdog team. Yeah, we're going to talk about them here in a second. So, nope. University of Miami gone, Loyola Chicago on. Then I had Tennessee getting upset by Wright State. I didn't think Tennessee was all that grand, but nope, Tennessee won that one, so that's another one wrong. So then we got Nevada versus Texas. I said Texas was going to win that. Nope, Nevada won that one. Cincinnati, Georgia State. We got another one right here. So in the South alone, I went, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. I went 2 for 8 in the South. All right, let's go on to the next one. I had Xavier winning the first round. Got that one right. I had Missouri beating Florida State. Nope, that's wrong. San Diego State beating Ohio State. Nope, that's wrong. Gonzaga beating UNCG. That we got right. Houston being upset by San Diego State. Nope, wrong. Michigan beating Montana. Got that one right. Providence beating A&M. Nope, wrong. North Carolina fighting off the upset against Lipscomb. Got that right. All right, we went 4 for 8 that time. We're improving. We're getting better as we go. In the East, Villanova winning. Yes. Alabama winning. Yes. And then West Virginia winning. Yes. Marshall winning. Yes. St. Bonnie winning? Nope. That's a big NO. Stephen F. Austin winning? Nope. Had them upsetting Texas Tech. That was a big wrong one right there. Butler beating Arkansas. That one did happen. Purdue taking the win there. That got that one right. All right, so we only got 2 wrong. We're improving by 2s here. We are seeing a trend. 2 out of 8, 4 out of 8, 6 out of 8. That's great. Let's see if we can go 8 for 8 on the last one. Kansas, yes. North Carolina State, yes. New Mexico beating Clemson? Nope. That was a big wrong. Auburn being upset by Charleston? Nope. That was a big wrong. TCU being holding off Syracuse? Nope. Michigan State? Yes. Rhode Island beating Oklahoma? Yes. And then Duke taking care of that? Yes. All right, so the right side of our bracket did much better. Out of the 16, we went 11 for 16. That's not bad. You look at the left side of our bracket, no. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 16. That's pretty pathetic. I had Creighton upsetting UVA. I had Kansas State. Or I did have Creighton, but it was Kansas State that went on. So Kansas State up there, so we're wrong there. We had Kansas State versus UMBC. They took the win. Then we had Kentucky versus Buffalo. Kentucky took care of them there. We actually had that one right. I had Miami, I had Miami versus Tennessee. Wright State, sorry. And Wright State did not obviously get there, so it was Loyola Chicago versus Tennessee. Sorry, I got distracted there. So Loyola Chicago beat Tennessee to make it to the Sweet 16. So we got LC there. Nevada versus Cincinnati. I had Cincinnati going down here, and they did go down, but they went. I had UT beating them, not Nevada. So Nevada goes on. Then we had Xavier versus Florida State. Florida State beats Xavier to get over to the Sweet 16. That's Florida State there. Then Gonzaga took care of Ohio State, so that's good. We had Gonzaga there. Then we had Michigan going on, correct there. Providence there. So we got Providence versus Michigan. Michigan takes care of business. Gonzaga versus Florida State. Gonzaga wins That one, no. Excuse me. Sorry. Florida State upsets Gonzaga and goes on to the Elite Eight. Then we got Loyola Chicago upsetting Nevada and making it all the way to the Elite Eight. Great storyline there. And then I got the UK going on. I got Kentucky going on to that point, and we are good to that point as well. Now, Loyola Chicago versus Kentucky. Well, man. Not Kentucky. Sorry, Kansas State. Kansas State beats Kentucky in the Sweet 16. So we got Kansas State there, and Loyola Chicago versus Kansas State. Nope, we're going Loyola Chicago. And then Florida State versus Michigan. Michigan holds off Florida State in a dominating sort of fashion. It was their first, real dominating game there. Same with Loyola Chicago. All right, Villanova versus West Virginia. West Virginia holds off Villanova. We were wrong there. Villanova holds off West Virginia. We were wrong there. Then let's see. We had Florida versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech takes the win there. And then Texas Tech versus it was Purdue, right? Yeah, Purdue. And then Texas Tech takes care of business there. Then we got Texas Tech versus Villanova. Villanova, the 1 seed, holding off Texas Tech and their wonderful run. And then we got Kansas versus, who do we have? Kansas versus Clemson. Kansas holds off Clemson, and it was my number one to go there. Then Michigan State versus Duke. Michigan State gets beat by Duke, and Duke looked pretty dominating. And then we get the best matchup of the tournament thus far, the best game overall, Duke versus Kansas. Kansas ultimately wins. It could have went either way. It was just an incredible game to watch. So we got Kansas State versus Villanova, 1 versus 1. And then the 11 seed Loyola Chicago, the sweetheart of the tournament, versus Michigan in the Final Four there. So now that we got our Final Four, Loyola Chicago versus Michigan, Villanova versus Kansas State. This couldn't have worked out better for the NCAA. I know there's been tons of people preaching that we don't want these Loyola Chicagos, these nonsense 11 teams making it this far. They don't deserve to be there, whatever their case and argument may be. But if you're a true fan of the NCAA March Madness world, then you're loving this, because on one side of the bracket you have your recent sort of powerhouses, number 1 versus number 1, Villanova versus Kansas. You can't ask for anything more, more pure blood than that. On the other side, you have a traditional powerhouse in Michigan, who's had a history in the college basketball, and if you look at the recent history, they've made it to the Final Four. I want to say 3 times in the last 10 years, if my memory serves. And then you got Loyola Chicago. You've got your awesome underdog story, this team that nobody's ever heard of, and then to boot, you got Sister Jean on their side. This sweet 98-year-old woman who's in a wheelchair now only because she was recently in an accident. But if she hadn't have been in that accident, everybody's saying, no, she's always up. She's always out and about on campus. I mean, they played this awesome game Saturday night, and then she turns around that same very night and gave Mass that night. So, I mean, talking about an awesome old lady with just an old lady. That Sister Jean, apologize, forgive me. I did not mean that in a rude way. Elderly lady. She is an older woman. That's all I meant by that. You're not old by any by any disrespectful way. Let's put it that way. So you got Sister Jean, and you've got Loyola Chicago, and just this perfect storyline, everything encompassing it. And so as far as March Madness goes, you've got everything you want. An awesome underdog and some powerhouses and some teams that are actually really good. Villanova is a very good team. Kansas, I think, is playing the best right now. Michigan has the opportunity to light you up on the scoreboard. And then you've got a team that just plays old school kind of basketball. They don't have a leading scorer in Loyola Chicago that it's not one player. It's not one dominant player that's going to put up 25 points for you every game no matter what. Like what Michigan has. Michigan has that sort of program. Kansas is a little like this as well. Kansas doesn't have one guy that's going to put up 30 points on you. It's more of a collective team sort of scoring. And so you've got different sort of styles of basketball being played all over. And, I know I called Virginia's, style of play boring. Well, Loyola Chicago is very much like, it's very similar in style as far as how Virginia plays, and that's how Loyola Chicago plays. And the reason why Loyola Chicago is not boring is because we've never heard of them, and it's awesome. It's awesome. So I know I was going through that really quick. I had to run through that because we got tons of stuff coming up, including next segment. We are going to talk NFL draft, top 10 picks, what I think each team is going to do, and what I think each team should do. And then the new rule changes. Like I said, we got 2 big ones, and then one that is a no-brainer, and it should have never been a rule in the first place. But that's the NFL for you, and we're going to learn real quick of what they mean by clarity, because clearly it's not clarity.
Hispanic Chamber Connections with Dr. Carlos Sanchez, president of the Woodlands Conroe Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, featuring event announcements, member highlights, and more. Tuesdays at 1 p.m., broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio. Broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Welcome back to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, hey. This music just, it welcomes me into my Friday. It gets me so pumped. I love it. Guys, don't forget you can check out the podcast version of the show. It usually is posted up 24 hours from the air time of the show, which means we are live every Wednesday from 1 to 2, like I said, on LoneStarCommunityRadio.com, or on, if you're in the Conroe, Montgomery County area, 104.5 and 106.1. But if you miss the show, or if you want to check out past episodes, whatever the case may be, we usually within 24 hours of every live showing, we have the podcasted version up on Google Play and iTunes. And then we do a sort of video version. I know if you've been going to check out the video versions on YouTube, you haven't been actually seeing my beautiful face. We've been kind of doing it a little different. The reason why, and a little quick explanation, the reason why is, if I don't have a guest in here, it's just kind of awkward. I feel like I'm forcing you to look at me, and it looks funny. And, I know I'm, dead sexy and whatnot. Don't get me wrong. I know how gorgeous I am. I don't need the comments from everybody else. But no, I mean, it just feels a little forced and a little awkward. So we're going away from it. That doesn't mean go away from the video version, because we're doing some fun things with the graphics and stuff like that. And when we do have guests on, there will be segments that are actually videoed and recorded and everything like that with our studio production stuff. But if I don't have a guest on, I'm probably not going to have. I'm not going to have a traditional video type. It's just going to be graphics and stuff like that. But it'll be fun graphics, because we're going to be expanding that sort of side of everything. And so you can go check all that out on YouTube. You can find anything, my Facebook page, my show page, all that good stuff. Just search Jake from Sports Talk, and you'll find it all. Or you can go to irlonestar.com, and everything of that nature will be up there. And you can check out all of our awesome shows that we offer here at Lone Star Community Radio. I know I brag about the Ticket Stub and Mornings with Lone Star, and mainly the reason why I brag about those two the most is because I'm usually on those shows. I partake in those shows to some extent, especially on Wednesdays. Mornings with Lone Star is Monday through Friday with Dick and Skippy from, I should know this, 8 to 10. There we go, 8 to 10. And I'm always on the Wednesday show with them from 9 to 10. So go check out. But we got tons of business shows, tons of entertainment shows, and all sorts. Just go check it all out. Especially if you live in the Montgomery County area, man, there's tons of things that these shows help you with, from life needs to lawyer needs to business needs to whatever the case may be. If you've got a garden, check out our Texas AgriLife show. It's a great one. But you are listening to Jake from Sports Talk. I am your host, Jake LaFleur. Glad to have you all back in for another Wednesday edition, live edition. And, we're having some fun here. We talked about, we updated our bracket. So I think out of, I can't even do the math. Like, I've got so many wrong here. I think I've probably only gotten on this bracket like 5, 6, 7 games right. And I've preached this. We're going to do later in the show, we're going to do NFL or MLB predictions and who I think is going to win each division. Let's be honest, guys. There's so much stuff that can happen, especially in a one-and-done tournament like the NCAA tournament is. I mean, tons of things can happen. We're definitely not getting the true best team winning the NCAA tournament every year. Like, there's no way that, because too many things can go wrong. One guy can have a bad game, and that's it for the teams. And that's part of the joy and the love of March Madness. And so, if you want to hound me and tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, well, go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to because, that's your right. You have the right to tell me I'm an idiot. And I do encourage it. Tell me I'm an idiot. I enjoy criticism and whatnot because at the end of the day, I can laugh at you and have tons of fun. So, so let's get into the NFL stuff. And I don't know really how to start out with this as far as which one to do first, but I think I'm going to go with the NFL rules first. So, the one major rule, and I was hinting towards it, the one major rule that I think is ridiculous that there was even a rule in the first place, and I'm glad they've just outright gotten rid of it, and it's the extra point rule at the end of a game. If it's a tied game and one of the teams scores and time on the clock runs out, then the team that scored has to kick the extra point, and the team that got scored on has to stay on the field and watch this team kick an extra point just to rub a little dirt in their face. Stupid rule, and I'm very happy they got rid of it. So now if one of the situations like in the playoffs when it was Minnesota versus the Saints, and the Saints had that miraculous catch at the end of the game and scored the touchdown, Minnesota, the last thing they wanted to do was be on the field and defend against a PAT, So but they had to. That was the rule. Otherwise, quote unquote, the game wouldn't be finished. No, idiotic. So, but the two big key ones, and all this is being decided at the owners' meetings that are going on in Orlando, Florida, right now. And so the two big ones are the revision to the NFL catch rule, and then the other one is now it's kind of a version of targeting. It's like an expansion of targeting almost, but it's the lowering of the head rule. So let's start with the lowering of the head rule. And we're going to get into both of these and how I think both of these are going to actually hurt the NFL. But the lowering of the head rule is any player, offense or defense, does not matter, offense or defense. If they lower their head to initiate contact with another player, then that player will be penalized, or that team will be penalized 15 yards and can lead to the ejection of the player. So, first thing that popped out of my mind, or popped in my head with this was, okay, well, every offensive lineman can be called on this for every single play. You look at the way, or every run play, let's put it that way. On a pass play, the offensive line is not, obviously is not going to engage the contact. They are going to drop back and do their drop steps and prepare to be hit. But on every rushing play, on every running play, that offensive lineman is firing, and I would say a majority of the time, the first thing that's making contact is their hands, but that second thing that's making contact is their head. And they're leading in with their face mask and what is considered almost the top of their head a lot of the times by officials in bang-bang sort of plays. They're leading in with their head, and so that's a potential issue. Because are you going to call that penalty on an offensive lineman? I mean, it says any player. Then you got to consider the running back side. Granted, I understand we haven't gotten to the defensive side of the ball. I'm focusing strictly here on the offense. Look at someone like Marshawn Lynch. Lynch has made his entire career out of the ability to lower his head and plow over middle linebackers. Now, Lynch hasn't had any significant injuries that have, caused him, or that has resulted from a play like this. but other running backs have. And we've seen other running backs get hurt, stingers, neck injuries beyond a stinger, and concussions and stuff like that from lowering their head and going in. And I understand that the NFL is wanting to, prevent that sort of injury from happening. Now, what about a receiver going across the middle of the field? We've seen this a couple times where it's kind of been like, ooh, man, yeah, the defensive player got penalized for targeting on that, but there wasn't a lot the defensive player could have done. He had to make the tackle, so he went in for the tackle. But the offensive player, the wide receiver, just happened to lower his whole body and twist and torque his body to sort of defeat or diffuse the blow from the hit, and he gets, clobbered in his head. Well, the reason why he gets clobbered in his head is because he led with his head. I mean, Gronk's a perfect example. Gronk, and it was the second game. I forget who they were playing. The second game before the end of the season, and everybody was wondering if he was going to play in the playoffs. And everybody was like, "Yeah, right. Like he's going to miss the playoffs." Well, on that play, Gronk did exactly what I'm talking about. He lowered his shoulder and his body, and exposed his head, led his head into the hit, causing him to get a concussion. There's not much you can do there in that situation as a defensive player, and that should have not been called a foul. If you're going for a hit, you're going for a hit. There's nothing you can do there. But him lowering his head would then take the penalty off of the defensive player and put it on the offensive player. Well, if a guy's sitting there brain dead, brain damage from, and I know Gronk in that situation. I know brain damage is exploding, expanding it way out and just exaggerating it way too much. But let's say a guy's sitting there laying on the ground with concussion, doesn't know who his mom is, doesn't know what day of the week it is, thinks he's Batman. You're telling me you're going to throw a 15-yard penalty on that play? It's something that's a natural reaction. There's not a lot you can do, especially if you got someone like Brandon Whedon, Blake Bortles throwing you a saucer over the middle and allowing you to just get creamed and clobbered by flying free safeties. So what do you expect a receiver to do on that sort of play? And again, I understand we haven't even talked about the defensive side, because I think a lot of people's initial reaction is going to be, oh, this is supposed to, hinder the defense from, laying out big hits. Nah, defensive players are I think, starting to learn slowly but surely that, hey, we can still deliver big hits without it being a penalty. Ryan Shazier would be a huge, huge demonstration of how this, what this rule is embodying. Ryan Shazier had the, terrible injury, and it looked like we might have seen somebody been paralyzed on screen. And thankfully, he's not perfectly fine. Let's be honest here. He is recovering nicely. He's recovering nicely. He's expected to make a full recovery. He put out a workout video the other day. It was great to see. But you have this person who, is just a fierce and ferocious defensive player and delivers big hit after big hit, and oftentimes he does it by putting his head down. And he suffered from doing that this time. And it's one of those things. It's bang bang, and it's just lack of fundamentals and tackling when it comes down to it. Like when it comes down to the rule side of it, that's not fundamentally how you're supposed to tackle. And that's what this rule is trying to encompass, and that's what this rule is trying to prevent. But I don't think they're thinking of the repercussions here. Because now you have the opportunity to call this on probably 95% of the plays in the NFL. So that means more flags. So that means more explanation by the referees. So that means more time spent listening to a guy dressed in black and white making calls rather than watching football on the field. And, man, the NFL is trying to speed things up. And they're not achieving that goal, I think, by putting this rule into place. And then you got to also take into consideration their other new rule. And their other new rule is the new catch rule. And they started out so good. They're like, we're going to make this clear and concise what a catch is and what is not a catch. And they said, if you are throwing the ball and you possess it in your hands and you make a football move, it is then considered a catch, and you then become a runner. Awesome. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Now we know what a catch is. But wait, there's more. Oh, God, here we go again. Now, if you possess the ball in your hands for a split second, and you have the ability, or if it is determined that you have the ability to make a football move, not if you make a football move, if the referee determines that you have the ability to make a football move, which I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know how, if they determine that you have the ability to do it, but you somehow freeze in midair and, time stops for you and you only, and you don't have the ability to make a football move, then it would be an incomplete catch or an incomplete pass. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but that's what the rule states. And now here comes tons of confusion with it. Now, with every good, there has to be bad. But the problem is there's two bads here. So that second little additive, that second little notation there, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to interpret that, and I don't think the officials are going to properly interpret it either, because it's going to be interpreted 30 million different ways, so it's going to lead to more argumentations on the field between officials and discussions between them, what was a catch and what was not a catch. And so then that means they're going to go to review more often. So that's going to slow the game down. But then in addition to that, you're also going to have more catch fumbles, because now you can have the ground cause a fumble after the catch. And that's going to make fans irate and furious as well. But, hey, that's the trade-off you get. If he made a football move and he fumbles it on the ground afterwards, then it's a fumble. And that's kind of what fans were asking for. I know it sounds funny, but that's what fans were asking for. They didn't realize it. I don't think the majority of them did, but they didn't realize that's what they wanted. And so now you're going to have more turnovers on the field, thus play gets automatically reviewed, and then they're going to have to go, well, did he have the ability to make a football move? Was he able to make that football move? Well, now I don't know, because I don't know what that means. And, no, he had his knee down first and he was touched there, but no, the ball is already coming. It causes, there's no more clarity here. And the whole point of going in to make this rule was to create more clarity and have a concise, defined rule, and we do not have that at all. And now I've taken up a whole segment. So, I got ranting on the idiotic nature of the NFL, and the top 10 draft picks are being pushed off again. So, we've got to go to break, but when we come back, I don't know how I'm going to do this. All right, I know how I'm going to do this. I know how I'm going to do this. We're going to do draft talk when we come back. Top 10 picks. It's just going to have to be a short segment because we went real long here again. So, don't go anywhere. You are listening to Jake from Sports Talk. Don't forget that you can catch all of my past shows and episodes and all my crazy cockamamie thoughts on YouTube, Google Play, and iTunes. Just search Jake from Sports Talk on Google, Internet, whatever you want to search it on, and you'll find me. I'll pop up. Just look for the handsome husky man. All right, you're listening to Jake from Sports Talk. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your questions. Get seen on TV, YouTube, and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Support your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Hey guys, this is Connor.
This is Dick.
This is Chris.
And we're with the Ticket Stub Podcast every Thursday live at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. Also, anytime at irlonestar.com. You go to irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find all of our social media.
And don't forget, we give away 2 tickets to the Grand Theater on every show.
If you like movies and you like complaining or celebrating anything that has to do with the silver screen, check out the Ticket Stub Podcast and join us every Thursday at noon o'clock on Lone Star Community Radio.
All right, welcome back to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. All right, so I was talking to myself, really, because actually I'm the only one in-house today. So I was not actually talking to anybody. I was thinking to myself how I want to kind of do this. And we went 15 minutes and 15 minutes, and I'm thinking I'm just going to go another 15 minutes, and we're going to make this entire segment prediction talk. And I know prediction talk can be a little boring, and and kind of idiotic. But, I'm going to go back to the draft. We're going to start with the draft prediction and who I think is going to win this whole thing out. And then we're going to go on to NFL top 10 draft picks and by what teams and who I think they're going to pick. And who I think they probably should go with, or kind of just my commentary on the whole situation. And then we'll get into the MLB start of the season sort of talk. And we can sidetrack real quick. And I people are like, Jake, you sidetrack way too much. You go off on these tangents way too much, and you get on your high horse and your soapbox. And I, you know what? I want to see you get behind a mic and have the personality that goes on in my brain. I literally have 30 little me's in me going, blah, 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 blah. And it's just, it's a wild ride in the world and in the mind of Jake LaFleur. So, I hope you enjoy my ramblings, because I certainly do. All right, so let's start with the Final Four with college basketball. So we got, like I said, Loyola Chicago playing Michigan Loyola Chicago's out of the South, and then Michigan's out of the West. And I think, based on the way I saw Loyola Chicago play in that last game against Kansas State, and I understand it's against Kansas State, and Kansas State's not as good of a team as Michigan. But I think that Loyola Chicago now, not only, I'm not saying that they didn't believe that they belonged before, but I think now they know that they belong, and this is not something that's too big for them. This moment's not too big for them, or they're not really an underdog or a sister. A sister. It's not. I keep wanting to say Sister Jean, Cinderella story. They don't think that. They understand that America thinks that, but I think they believe themselves to not be a Cinderella story or somebody that does not truly belong here. And they're getting both of that. I mean, they're getting a lot of the, college basketball experts that are like, it's just garbage luck that this team's here. They just played well at the right time and, being grumpy old farts. And so I think they can tune that out now. And, they know that they belong here. And then, or at least I believe they know that they belong there. And then, you got the rest of America, the fan side of it, that it's like, oh, yeah, this awesome underdog. They don't think they're an underdog anymore either. I just based on the way they played against Kansas State, they know that they truly belong here, that they are actually a good enough team to be in this Final Four. So I'm going to go bold and pick Loyola Chicago over Michigan. Now, for Loyola Chicago's sake, that's probably not a good thing because we've seen how this bracket has gone. And then we got Villanova versus Kansas. Kansas has been to the Elite Eight quite a few times over the past 10 years, and consistently they just haven't been able to get past that Elite Eight point. And now that I think they've kind of broken that little stretch, and they've gotten to the Final Four, I'm going to take them over Villanova. I think Villanova's probably the best all-around team left. But again, I just think the way Kansas is playing right now, I've got to take Kansas. And again, for Kansas, and the way this bracket has gone for me, the way I've picked it, probably not a good thing for Kansas, but not my problem. So, sorry, Kansas. Sorry, Loyola Chicago, but that's who I think are going to play in the finals. And I think the championship game, the true championship game, is going to be between Villanova and Kansas. I think whoever wins that game is going to go on to win it. So if I am wrong about Kansas and Villanova does win it, it's not going to change who I think is going to win the championship. I think those two teams are the best two left in the tournament, and I think those are your winners. So I think that is your winner, not your winners. It's not plural, it's singular. Okay, on to NFL draft. All right. So the order really quick. We got Cleveland, then we got the New York Giants, New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts, Tampa Bay, Buccaneers, Chicago Bears, San Francisco 49ers, and the Oakland Raiders. So starting out at Cleveland. So Cleveland's got 1 and 4 here. With 1 and 4 going on, they have a lot of things they can do here. They can trade number 1. I don't think they're going to trade number 1. But more likely, if they were to trade a draft pick, I think they'll trade number 4. Me personally, I keep both, and I let 2 and 3 do what they want to do. I get who I want at number 1. Guy I can't live without at number 1. And then at number 4, I let 2 and 3 pick who they're going to pick, and then I take whoever my number 2 was, And if my number 2 goes and before that number 4 pick, then I take whoever my number 3 was. And if that's gone, then I take my number 4. I take best available talent at that number 4 position because, I mean, Cleveland's not, stacked in any area. I mean, even with Tyrod Taylor being signed there, Tyrod Taylor's good, but not what they need, for long-term purposes at that quarterback position. So I think they do take quarterback number 1 overall. I think they keep that draft pick, and I think they take quarterback, and I think they go Sam Darnold. My personal opinion, I think that Josh Allen is the best quarterback in this draft. I think for long haul, I think Josh Allen is going to be the best quarterback in the NFL. But he's not the sexiest pick. So it's just I think out of this draft, out of the 6 or 7 quarterbacks that are going, I think he is the best long-term quarterback. Is he most NFL ready? No, he's not the most NFL ready quarterback. But I think if you give him a year or 2, I think he will be. And it's not even, hey, sit him for a year or 2. I think if you throw him out there, just from what I've read and what I've seen, what I've heard, and I know that's not great expertise to go on. I just think Josh Allen's got the best upside, long-term upside. So, number 2, Giants. Me personally, you can't pass up on Barkley. Saquon Barkley is just a once-in-a-lifetime or once-in-a draft talent, if you will. I mean, Zeke Elliott's a heck of a talent. Leonard Fournette's a heck of a talent. The running back game coming out of college right now is very strong and very dominant. I think Barkley is better than both of those prior 2 running backs that I just mentioned. And so I don't think you can pass on him. But yet I think Cleveland and the New York Giants are both going to pass on him. And I think that's a mistake. But, Cleveland needs a quarterback pretty bad. And I think you've got to take what your number 1 quarterback. Whoever you think your number 1 quarterback is, I think you have to take him right there if you're the Cleveland Browns. The Giants need a lot of help on the offensive line, at the running game. But with the the trading of Jason Pierre-Paul, I think they're ultimately going to go with Bradley Chubb, the best defensive end out of this draft. And so I think that's where they go. Now Jets traded up and they got Indy's 3rd pick and they got it from the 6th pick, so they basically flip-flop. Now I don't know if this is a sexy pick, but or if this is a much talked about pick, but I think Baker Mayfield is going to go number 3 overall to the New York Jets, and I think that Broadway Baker it fits. The name fits. It's got a great ring. The Jets like him. I really think that that's where he goes. I think they go. If Darnold's there, I think they pass on Darnold. If Allen's there, I think they pass up Allen. I think they go over whatever quarterback is there. If the Giants don't pick quarterback, if Cleveland doesn't pick quarterback, and the Jets end up with their number 1 quarterback choice, I think they go Baker Mayfield. Now, to me, it's a little risky. I don't think Baker's gonna be the hot shot sort of thing. I think there's better options or choices here. I don't think Baker Mayfield's gonna be as bad as everybody thinks. I think he is a good talent, and I think he really loves the game, and I like his spirit. I know a lot of people call him cocky, but I like his spirit. So, I'm not completely blowing him off there. But then we got Indianapolis. I think they're going to take we got Browns again. That's where I think Saquon Barkley goes. I think he goes number 4 overall to the Browns. If you throw Sam Darnold and Saquon Barkley, watch out. The Browns are going to be really good next year. Denver, Josh Rosen. I think that's going to be the next best quarterback available. I think Denver, obviously in need of a quarterback. I think that's who they're going to go with. Indianapolis, and this is where I think we're going to go Quentin Nelson, the guard out of Notre Dame, to help out the returning Andrew Luck, who has started throwing again. So that's some good news for the Colts fans out there. Number 7, Tampa. Minka Fitzpatrick, the safety out of, or cornerback, wherever you want to put him, out of Alabama. And then Tremaine Edmonds is the linebacker out of Virginia Tech. I got him going to Chicago at number 8. Calvin Ridley is the wide receiver out of Alabama. I've got him going number 9 to San Francisco. Get old pretty boy, the Tom Brady replacement, the next future gorgeous, handsome thing at quarterback. get him some help down there, Mr. Garoppolo, in San Francisco. So, and then number 10, Oakland Raiders. I got Raquan Smith, nice linebacker to young linebacker to keep that smash mouth defense for the Raiders. Bringing back the old Gruden defense that we saw, all those years ago, and just that really physically beat the heck out of people. And that was what Gruden did in football. I mean, he beat you up on the offensive side, he beat you up on the defensive side. It was a physical game to go against, to go against a Gruden team. So, oh man, all right, we got to get out of here. We're running out of time here. AL or MLB standings, really quick. MLB standings. American League Central, or let's start on the National League side, because I want to save who I think the American League West is going to be won by. I think some people might be shocked. National League, especially here in Houston, National League standings Central. I got Cubs. I don't think they're going to get past. I don't think there's going to be a lot of switch up from last year. I think the Cubs are going to handle it. Cardinals will bounce back a little bit. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were last year. But I think the Brewers aren't going to be as good as they were last year. The Pirates are on the rebuilding stages right now, the early rebuilding stages, and I think the Reds are the Reds, and I don't think there's going to be any competition there. So, and we got NL East. Look, Braves and Marlins, nope. Mets are going to be better this year if they can keep their pitching staff healthy, and I think they're a solid wild card contender. Phillies, wild card contender. I'm saying it right now. They make the playoffs. I like what they have done with their farm system, and I think they make the wild card this year. But ultimately, Nationals win that division, and no change up there. NL West, I think you're going to see the Diamondbacks slide a little bit. They did improve their offense some in the offseason by a tad margin, but I think the Rockies got better. I think the Dodgers stayed the same. Padres are a year or two away from being what they're ultimately building to, and then I think the Giants are just going to continue to slide. Unfortunate to those Giants fans. I didn't like their off-season acquisitions, if you will. I mean, what the heck do I know? Obviously, but we'll see. We'll have fun with it. Okay, AL Central. Indians are still the dominant team there, but Minnesota Twins will be in the hunt again for a wild card spot. Detroit, no. Kansas City, no. White Sox, no. AL East, Orioles will be in the hunt for a wild card spot. Tampa Bay will not be in the hunt for a wild card spot, nor will Toronto, which leaves the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. Now, I know everybody's going to say I'm crazy, and I'm a Homer fan because I'm a Red Sox fan, but I think the Red Sox are going to win this division again, and here's why. I don't know. Stanton going to handle the limelight. Judge going to have, a sophomore slump, a true sophomore slump, because this is true sophomore year. It'll be a close one at the top. It'll be a tight race all the way through. I think both teams make the playoffs easily. One's just going to be a wild card, and one's going to win the division, and that's simple as that. And I think the Red Sox take the division, but like I said, it'll be really, really close. So, and then the AL West, Astros. Oh, I don't know. No, I'm kidding. It's the Astros. That entire division's garbage. The Angels aren't going to be much of any concern this year. I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, they got this awesome pitcher from Japan, Odonaka, or however you pronounce his name, and I'm probably butchering it, and I don't mean any disrespect by that, but no. I mean, I've saw what he could do during preseason ball, and no. And Rangers, garbage. I only joke because we are in Houston, and I love my fellow Dallas Texians, but yeah, no, I'm sorry. Your poor Rangers aren't going to do anything this year. Oh. So good. If only the Yankees were as bad as the Rangers, then I would just be ecstatic. All right, guys, we're out of here. I'm way over time. I know we only did 3 segments, but I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to go check out the podcasted version on Google Play, iTunes. The YouTube version will be up in a couple of days. Obviously on YouTube, just search Jake from Sports Talk on all those platforms, or search it at your favorite search engine. Find my Facebook page, find my show page, all that lovely stuff. And yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you for checking out this production of Lone Star Community Radio. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station. Don't forget to check out this show and many others across the Lone Star Community Radio Network, either live on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, the Lone Star Internet Radio app, or irlonestar.com's live audio stream, and on replay on podcast, Channel 12's Our City TV in Conroe, or Channel 21 KVQT in Houston, and of course their YouTube channel. This production is copyrighted and all rights are reserved by Lone Star Community Radio. Have a question regarding this program or other Lone Star Community Radio shows? Want to sponsor or start your own show? Call the station message line at 936-647-3776 or email the station at lscrstudios@gmail.com.